Hello everyone, Kingdom Silver here, and today we are talking about one of the most disheartening things that you can see in your silver stack. So you've been stacking for a bit, you go back in to look at a couple of your rounds or coins, and you open up the tube and maybe you see something like this. This what was a once gorgeous, pristine, sunshine minting round that's got this brown residue on it, it's got these weird spots on it, and you're wondering, what happened? So today we are going to be discussing just that. What did happen to this silver round? What are these spots called? And how can you take steps to help prevent this from happening? Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of the video. Thank you so much for checking out the channel. Let's dive right in. So what is this substance, this brown substance that you are seeing on this sunshine minting round? Well, this is called tarnishing, and this is something that happens when silver has a natural oxidation process, and it is reacting to sulfur that is in the air, and it produces this brown substance that you're seeing on the round here. Now, this doesn't hurt the silver in any way. It just makes it look a little grungy. And another thing that happens is milk spots. And I have an example of this King Charles Britannia here, and I'm going to try and get it in the light just the right way. Yep, and you can see here, there's this spot here and a spot here on his face. What is that? Well, that is called milk spotting. And this happens when there is chemicals or compounds that are on top of the silver that have been left from the production process, and there's a reaction there and it causes these spots. I've heard from some people that they believe the Britannias are particularly susceptible to this, but I'd love to hear in the comments if what your luck has been on that. But regardless, so these are some very common things that can happen to silver. So how do you avoid it? How do you go about avoiding getting milk spots and tarnishing on your silver? And you can see all the milk spots that is on this sunshine minting round as well. Well, there's a couple of things you can do. This is going to be a battle, right? Because this is just a natural process that, at least on the tarnishing, that occurs with silver, and you're going to have, things happen with your metals that are coming from manufacturers too, right? But there is a couple of things you can do. The first is if you have silver that you have numismatic value in, or you want collectible value, or maybe you're just wanting to keep a couple of your silver coins in pristine looking shape. This is where I would go ahead and pick up one of these airtight capsules. And you can see that I have this Britannia in here as an example, this 2023 Britannia. Now, this is incredibly expensive if you're doing this with an entire stack. I would not recommend it. However, again, if you just have a couple of silver coins that you're wanting to keep in pristine shape, as an example, I would highly recommend this. Another thing that you can do is get these little dry packets here. And what these do is they help keep away moisture. I have several of these in my silver stack where I store them. It helps keep away moisture. Usually you can get these when you purchase shoes, or I believe you can even buy some of these online, like Amazon. You can almost buy anything at Amazon, right? Another thing is examining the tubes that you're using to store your stack. And here's an example. This is actually the tube that these silver rounds were in. I'm going to try and focus the camera here. And you can see there's actually some of that tarnishing that's on this tube. You can actually see it right there. So get different tubes. And I'm actually trying these today. So these are Lighthouse tubes. And I got these off Amazon. I think it was about $14, $15 for 6 of them, which is a little steep for silver tubes. However, there are some advantages to these that I'm really excited to try out. The first thing is that these are twist-on tubes that are airtight. They're advertised for that, and actually in the sheet here it says that they have active protection against tarnishing for up to 15 years. That's a pretty bold claim. Honestly, I don't know if I'll still be making YouTube videos in 15 years. Hopefully so. But in that case, that is an advantage to these. I like the fact that you can clearly tell, though, just by twisting on that and sealing it, that's much more airtight than this seal here. So that's one advantage to it. The second thing, and I've got my glove stuck in it. The second thing that I like about it is not only that twist on lid, but you can also see here, it's got a little bit of foam so that when your silver bumps against the top, it's not banging into anything. I really like that. And then the third thing that I think has an advantage here is, look at this. If I can get it here. Boom. They stick. They stack right on top of each other, and you can pull them apart really easily. This helps manage your storage a lot easier. You can, get several of these going. You see, I've got a couple of them here. I mean, you can literally make a tower out of these, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to, I wouldn't recommend it, but you could. I think there is a distinct advantage here as opposed to, your standard tubes. Now, I will say the one thing that is a bit of a bummer is when you're comparing these, this is the 38, 39 millimeter size. This is what you would use typically for rounds or smaller coins. This is 40, 41 millimeter, which is for your American Silver Eagles. The only way you can tell the difference is like this little text here and this little text here. That's the only way that you can tell, and it's pretty faint. I would love for them to have that a little bit more obvious, but you could use like a Sharpie or something else on these to make it a little more clear. Another thing that you can do is use a coin cleaner. Now, I will say this, and this is my example here, this Morgan silver dollar. Do not, and I repeat, do not clean collectible or antique or even numismatic coins, right? That can destroy their value. Now, in this case, this is one I got from my grandfather. It's not, low mintage. It's not really one of the most, collectible ones that you would see out there. But for me, it has a lot of sentimental value, and I could really ruin that if I clean this. So if you're going to try cleaning silver, do it on something like this Sunshine Minting round. Don't try it on a collectible coin or a numismatic coin. That can really hurt its value. So that's going to do it for the video today, ladies and gentlemen. In the comments, I would love to hear, what are you doing to keep tarnishing and milk spots away from your stack? Or have you been like, yeah, it's a losing battle, I give up? I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. I love interacting with people in the comments, and I learn a lot from that too. So definitely let me know what you're doing. With that being said, thank you so much for watching. Be blessed. Be a blessing to others. We'll see you later.